And we are live with a fistful of viewers already. Then coming straight in, we got people on the Discord, we got people on the YouTubes, we got people buying us coffee on buymeacoffee.com. We got super chats, we got super thanks, we got super stickers. We got it all, guys. We got it all. We've even got a Patreon, but there's nothing on there because everything we do is live. So how can we give you early access to videos? You get to watch them being made. You know, there's no prep here. There's no edits. There's no reruns. Well, there are reruns. You can watch the video as many times as you like. It all adds to our glory. Let's just check the Discord while we're waiting for Court to kick off. Look at him. Look at him. Look at that slick back hair. Look at those furrows of worry. Look at that sad face. You know, Charlie Adelson has to strike a real balance in this courtroom. He wants to look guilty and sorry, but not for the murder. He wants to look like, oh, I should have said something earlier about the extortion. Yes, the Latin kings came to me and they sent my girlfriend to threaten me and threaten my family, and they wanted money, but not that much. They only wanted a third of the money under threat of death. Christina Addison, welcome. Queen Olive Ruth Ann. Wow. Are you a real queen of olives? I love olives. So it's great to have you. Jen, I tell ya. Holy crap, I'm catching a live. Just found you and have started watching your Wendy vids. You're loving them. Well, that's fantastic. Oh, hang on. All rise for the jury. Wow. Ask yourself one question. Could a guilty man stand up that straight? Now ask yourself another question. Like I ask myself this question every time I watch this video. What is up with his tie? That has got to be an expensive suit, right? Put your tie in the middle. Fucking Prince Andrew did this in his interview where it's like, man, your suit is worth more than my car. Okay? And your tie is all to the side. I would never do that. I don't often wear a suit, but when I do, my tie is bang on. It's not that hard.
Everyone may be seated. My assistant has told me that you all are making good progress on the snacks that we've provided to you.
I swear to God, there's a little book that's given to judges when they become a judge to say, okay, here's a list of jokes you can tell to the jury. Food is a big one. You know, remember when Judge Everett here said to the jury, now, if anybody brought velvet red cake without enough to share, powers of contempt will be exercised. And then everyone laughed at the funny judge. I mean, it really is like when you get on a long haul bus journey and the driver wants to make everyone feel comfortable because no one wants to be there. You know, the judge has that kind of responsibility as well, right? The jury are the most important people in the room, civic duty and all the rest of it, and they have to be made to feel entertained, at least some to a degree. It's funny. We should start making a list, guys. Every time we see a joke. Judge Chris Sabella in the Trevor Summers case, he started going, he'd ask the jury a series of questions and then go, okay. And how many members of the jury had the Cuban sandwich for lunch? Today is National Cuban Sandwich Day, and I had never heard of a Cuban sandwich before, but I looked it up and it looks amazing. What a sandwich that is.
It's, it's been a long trial, so you are entitled. Is the defense ready to call its next witness?
Yes, Your Honor. We call Charlie Adelson.
Fucking hell. Rashbaum's tie is longer than him.
Retail business? This 80-second video is about to completely change the way you work.
Hey guys, these adverts are driving us all crazy. I tell you what, I'll make you all a deal. We are so close to getting YouTube Premium, okay? If anyone wants to support the channel to help us do that, you can buy us a coffee on buymeacoffee.com, send a super chat, a super like, a super sticker, whatever. A super thanks. You know, click everything. Click everything, guys.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I do, sir.
You may take your seat. Please speak loudly and clearly.
Did that sound convincing to anybody? Because I want us to all play a game collectively and let us know in the comments when you see him say something that actually is true. Let's try and find that nugget of truth in this pile of shit. Wow, he looks really big in the stand, doesn't he? Is that that's the exact same witness booth everyone else sits in? He's like a giant. Fucking hell. That must be the camera has a weird lens or something. They must have switched lenses just for him.
Charlie, let's start with the most important question. Did you cause the death of Professor Dan Markel?
Absolutely no.
Absolutely no. I mean, okay, we've been through all of Wendy's times on the stand, all three trials, both direct examination, cross-examinations, plural, and rebuttals by the state, right? We've done everything that Wendy has done on the stand. We've listed all her tactics. You know, if you haven't seen those videos, guys, they're all on our channel page. What are you doing? What are you doing here? Stop this video. Go. Actually, no. Don't. Stay here and watch them later when we're not live. But yeah, you can see Charlie trying to do the same tactics, you know, keep things vague, you know, don't commit, try and do legal objections within, you know, like Wendy's always saying things like, are you asking me to speculate? Which is exactly the same as the legal objection of calls for speculation, right? So that the judge will jump in and she thinks she's so clever. But of course, Charlie isn't a lawyer. He's a dentist, and a bad one at that. Anyway, I'm talking too much. It's just exciting to be back in the Adelson case, guys. You know, it's been a while. We've taken a break. We've gone around a few other cases. We've picked them apart, and now, you know, we've come back for more of the big one that everybody loves.
Did you hire anyone to kill him?
No.
Did you put any letters in any diaper bags of Katie Magbanowa to have Professor Markel killed?
No.
Now, before we get there, let's spend some time on your background. How old are you?
I'm 47 years old.
Where were you raised?
I was raised in Coral Springs, Florida.
When were you arrested in this case?
I was arrested April 21st, 2022.
And by the way, are you? How do you feel right now?
I'm really nervous.
Why are you nervous?
My whole life depends on it.
Where have you been living?
Yeah.
since you were
I guess
arrested?
your whole life does depend on it. What about the life of Professor Markel? Huh? What does that depend on? Oh no, wait. He was shot in the head, and his chin was blown off. Yeah. I guess his life doesn't depend on anything anymore, right, Charlie?
Arrested a year and a half ago.
Leon County Jail.
Growing up, what was your family like?
It was pretty normal. I was the middle of three children. My dad was a dentist. My mom was a school teacher. Played a lot of sports. Pretty normal upbringing.
Do you have a brother and a sister?
I have an older brother and a younger sister.
How close were you with your siblings growing up?
My brother, I wasn't real close with. My sister, I wasn't really that close with either, probably until I got into high school. And we were probably closer in age and had more in common. And then I got closer to her as the years went on.
Your family growing up, would you describe it? How would you describe it financially?
I'd say it was upper middle class. And then
Okay, if someone describes their own family as upper middle class, you might as well just say stinking rich, you know. Upper middle class. I mean, what's above that? Elite. You know, I mean, you don't. Upper class is upper. The only thing above that is the top 1%. So he's in the highest bracket of anything lower than the top 1%. That's his own description. Upper middle class. Yeah, I said I wanted to play tennis when I was 6, and my parents built me a double tennis court with a big fence, so we didn't have to run and get the ball.
in 92, my dad lost a lot of money, and then wasn't upper middle class after that. And then my dad worked hard and he worked until
Jen, I tell you, thanks, I tell you. Super sticker already, guys. Rolling in. Thank you so much, Jen. We love you.
he was 78. He retired.
Where did you go to high school?
I went to public school in Coral Springs. I attended Terravilla High School.
Was school easy for you?
Not really. I mean, I had to work really hard to get good grades, and I really didn't get good grades.
Yeah, I had to work really hard, and my dad had to keep donating for me not to be expelled. And he'd come in and he'd say, listen, I'll build you a new library if you keep him in school.
Until I went to college.
Where did you go to college?
I went to UCF in Orlando.
And
Just a little bit of trivia, guys. I know a lot of people go to UCF, but that is the same college that Grant Amato went to. Quite a bit of years between them, though, I'd say. I think Grant Amato was 29 he was born in 89, and Charlie was born in 75, maybe?
after graduating from college, what did you do next?
I went to dental school.
Where did you go to dental school?
I went to dental school at Nova Southeastern in Fort Lauderdale.
After dental school, what did you do?
I did a residency in Paris.
So a dental school in Fort Lauderdale, huh? How much do you think that costs? That is not going to be a shabby school, is it? That's going to be like, you know, someone who's upper middle class, someone who has a Ferrari with a personal license plate.
Periodontics, and I did that at Nova Southeastern also.
Briefly, what is periodontics?
Periodontics is the surgery of the gums and bone, and it's 3 more years after dental school.
During your residency, did you work?
I did. I'd moonlight and I'd work nights and weekends.
Yeah,
general-
he'd moonlight and work nights and weekends because he was studying for the periodontist school. 3 more years. Man, is this guy committed? What a model citizen. Moonlighted. He'd stay at home and he'd read all the books about the periodontistry, and then he'd moonlight. He'd just, go to the moon and come back and work in a dentist office. I mean, who works as a dentist at night?
general dentist.
When your residency ended, what was your financial situation?
I had about $200,000 in student loans.
Now, after graduating from your residency, what did you decide you were going to do?
I started basically moonlighting when I was in dental school, and then when I got out, I really didn't have money to start a business.
Oh, look at Ruth Markel there, huh? Do you think she's buying this? Do you think she's like, oh, good. So he was at dental school. He moonlighted and he worked nights and weekends because he was studying so much. So not guilty.
So
Hey, Neeti, thanks so much for the super sticky. You are a legend this week. Just keep coming. Thanks so much. You are a diamond and a darling, and we love you.
I started working for just individual dentists where I'd come in and do the surgery for them in-house, so they wouldn't have to send the work out, but the patients could still be seen by a specialist. So I'd travel from office to office.
When you started, and I think, when did you graduate your residency?
Graduated my residency in 2006.
When you started, how many offices did you travel to?
When I first started, it was just the first office that I was moonlighting in when I was in my residency. And then through an assistant that worked there, she introduced me to a couple offices, and then those offices introduced me to more people, and it grew from there. By the end of the first year, I was probably working in, I would say, 6 or 8 offices.
By the time frame of 2000.
Yeah, my mother would handle the books for all of those offices, and you know, she'd move money from one office to another and find tax loopholes and then put money in one office and then do the books in another office, and you know, and I'd give a discount for cash so that the amounts weren't traceable by the IRS. Okay, yeah, moonlighting all the way.
14, when Professor Markel was murdered, how many offices were you working in, approximately?
Between 30 and 35 offices I would come in to.
Wow, that's a lot of bookkeeping right there, isn't it? 35 offices, all in Fort Lauderdale, a place built on cosmetic surgery. Fantastic.
When you graduated, where did you live?
When I graduated Perio, I lived in an apartment across the street from school, and then I bought my house. I still lived in 16 years or 20 years later after that.
And that house is where?
On Whale Harbor. I moved in there in 2006.
Now, during this time frame of 2014, can you describe for the jury how far you would travel? In other words, how far were the offices apart from one another?
I never turned any work down. So I had an office as far south as Cutler Ridge, which is a little bit north of Homestead. It's a good hour and a half south of Fort Lauderdale. And then my furthest office I went to north was in East Port St. Lucie, which is a good hour and 45 minutes north of Fort Lauderdale.
Port St. Lucie is probably about halfway between Miami and Orlando. Is that fair to say, or closer to Orlando?
I'd say it's probably closer to Orlando.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, your typical work week, what did it look like?
I would work in usually 2 offices a day.
Hey, Cora Jean, good to see you. Yeah, I heard the jailhouse calls with the girl who was living in his house, and it's like, oh, I'm taking the TV. Can I take both TVs? And like, she doesn't get that he's never coming home, and then she's like, wait, you're not coming home? And Charlie, it's so funny because of the whole code with the TV, you know. The TV for the murder, the broken TV that Wendy was having fixed was the code for the murder, and then afterwards they're talking about a frickin' TV. What was her name, the girl?
I would start around 8 or 9 o'clock, work in one office till about 1 o'clock, and then I'd go to another office and I'd piggyback it. I'd try to be in another office that was in the same vicinity as the first office.
Yeah, he'd piggyback and he'd moonlight, and just moonlighting on a pig's back.
And I'd just usually start there around 1:30. I'd have it where it's only a 5 or 10 minute drive to the second office. I would tell them I could stay as late as you need. And then when people had emergencies, which when you work in 30 offices, there's always someone that has an issue. I would.
Christina Anderson says, poor Chuckles. Something funny about that. Poor Chuckles, he had to drive all that way in his fancy car from office to office. Yeah, the defense makes this big deal about being, he's so busy and he's so committed to his work, and, he wasn't thinking about Professor Markel because he's so busy. This guy loved the fact that he spent, you work 8 hours a day. He spent 6 of those driving in a Ferrari, posing, harassing women, having lunch at nice restaurants. He loved that. Playboy.
Come into their office.
Matilda, yes. Janice, it's Janice. I looked up a picture of her. She just fits right into Charlie's, what do you call it? Criterion of women.
Office, I would just say, just have an assistant stay. And when I got done with that second office, if it was 8 o'clock, 8:30, I would still go in and I'd work in the third office. So it was almost 2 offices on most days. And I would say 20% and 30% of the time there was a third office.
How many days a week did you work? And again, we're talking about the 2014 time frame.
I was working 6 days a week, and then I was still working 6 days a week.
Now,
sometimes every once in a while there'd be a big case and my whole week was booked up and the patient needed something and it was hours and I didn't have time. So an office would open up on Sunday and I would go in on Sunday and do the work.
For the most part, in your job working in these offices, what form of payment were you paid mostly in? Was it cash or some other form of payment?
The offices would always pay me an office check.
Now, were you ever paid in cash from these offices?
I wasn't paid from the offices that I work for in cash, but if I was doing a work on like one of the assistants in the office or a friend of the dentist, and the dentist didn't want any money to come to him, and I was doing it as a favor, I would say, just go ahead and pay me in cash for the materials. And then the materials were expensive. Sometimes they were $100, sometimes it was $1,000. And then but the dentist didn't want to take any of the money from that person. So he was like, I'm removing myself from the situation. So the person would pay me the cash for the materials for the work that I did on them. And that was really just when I was doing favors, and it was sporadic. Sometimes more than other, depends on.
What a charitable man, What a put others first kind of guy. Just pay me in cash for the materials. Yeah, these imaginary materials cost $1,000. So if you just pay that in cash, we won't have to unsettle the books for this, intermediate dentist that we're currently basing our business out of, unregistered. But the jury obviously all thinks this is wonderful. This is a good man. This is a good man doing favors for others.
On a month.
By the way, backtracking a little bit, growing up, what profession was your dad in?
My dad was a general dentist.
And did your mom work growing up when you grew up?
She had 3 kids, and she still worked as a substitute teacher, where she would come in sporadically, but she wasn't working full time after she had the 3 of us.
Did there come a time where she worked in your dad's dental practice?
Yeah, I would say probably after the kids went to college, or maybe probably towards the end of high school, college. My mom came in and was doing front desk work and helping my.
Neaty. We've got to talk. Look, her comment is Cuban sandwich. I thought that was just a metaphor. Are you being saucy again, Neaty? You've got a problem, girl.
dad out.
And what other roles did she have in the office?
She did the bookkeeping. She helped me with all my financial stuff as far as like paying insurances, making stuff with anything that was due at a certain time, licenses. She paid salaries at the office, and then also did front desk with Erica.
All right. Let's talk about the Adelson Institute. When you became this traveling periodontist, were one of the places that you traveled to your dad's dental practice?
Yes.
How often did you work at the Adelson Institute?
I would work at my dad's office. I would say every 4 to 6 weeks. And I would piggyback it. There was another office that I worked at every 2 weeks that was in the same plaza as my dad's. So I would finish there usually about 4 o'clock, and then I'd go into my office, and then I'd start working there at 4:15, and I'd stay as late as I needed to. 10, 11 o'clock.
Do you remember what the full name of the practice was called?
Well, originally, or when we changed it to.
Well, let's start with what you changed it to.
Okay. Well, when I graduated my residency in periodontics, I thought, since I was joining my dad's practice and it was now going to have a periodontist there, I thought we'd rename the practice and give it a fancy name. So we called it we copyrighted the Adelson Institute for Implants and Aesthetic Dentistry.
Okay. Now, growing up, did it have that name?
No.
It was just a plain old dental practice, right?
Yeah, it was just my dad and his 3 employees.
How many people worked at the Adelson Institute?
There was Erica Johnson, Clarissa. Erica was the front desk. Clarissa was my dad's assistant since 1979 until he retired 2 years ago. And then Amy was the hygienist. And then my mom when she would be there.
And your mom controlled the checkbook?
Yeah, she handled that stuff.
Who did all the billing for the practice?
My mom and Erica
Okay.
did the billing.
How many dentists were in the practice?
Just one dentist, just my dad.
Did there come a time when you bought the practice from your dad?
Yeah, my dad was going to sell the practice, and I thought it would be a good idea for me to buy it, and I thought maybe I'd run it and it would be something that I would always have. But I didn't like the idea of it being sold.
Yeah, he didn't like the idea of it being sold, guys. Nothing to do with it being convenient for tax reasons if the business was not in Harvey Adelson's name. No. That he wanted to keep it in the family, so that there was an insider trading purchase of the business, and it was re-registered to Charles Adelson.
So I bought it from my dad when he wanted to slow down in 2012.
During the time period of 2014, who owned the practice?
In 2014, I was the owner of the practice.
Okay. Now, during the time frame of the wires in 2016, who owned the practice?
I had sold it back to my dad in 2015.
Why did you sell it back to your dad?
Because I didn't have any time to run it. And even though I bought it, nothing had changed. My dad was still the same dentist that was there.
I still have not identified anything that he said that is true. Everything is a lie, even the stuff that doesn't matter.
My mom was still the same person doing the books, and they were spending all their time running it. And I was so busy with my traveling periodontics, I didn't have time to dedicate to it, and it really wasn't financially, it wasn't feasible, and there wasn't a benefit.
I want to talk about cash a little bit. Do you like to collect cash?
I always have, yes.
Why?
I like it probably goes back to when I was a kid. I get $1 a week allowance, and I would save it up, and I just like the feeling of looking at it. I'd rather look at it than put it in the bank. So whenever I
Yeah.
had cash, I would
It made me feel better than everybody else if I had more money than them. You know, let's just say what it is, Charlie. The feel of it in your hand will just hold a load of paper. It's the same freaking thing. You know,
just saved it up.
Now, were there several ways that you accumulated cash?
Yes, there was.
Did you have a real estate business or some real estate in 2014?
In 14, yes.
And would you accumulate cash through this business?
There was some cash that came in through that, yes.
Did you rent out dock space behind your house?
Yeah, I rented out my dock space behind my house since 2006, and it's been rented ever since.
And how would you
person.
be paid for that dock space?
The guy would come down once a year, and he would pay me in cash for the year.
Were there other ways that you would accumulate cash over the years?
From whenever I did work on someone as a favor, and they were just paying me for the materials, I got paid in cash on that. And probably the biggest source of cash through the years is every time I went out, every chance I could, I used my credit card to build up the airline miles, and I'd always pay the tab, and whoever was there would just give me the cash, and it added up over the years. I've done that 20 years.
And once you had this cash, what would you do with it?
Whenever I had $1,000, I would staple it, and it was a packet. So I stapled it because I was just being saved. I wasn't spending it. I was always using my credit card, so the cash built up.
Where would you put the cash?
I put it in my safe.
yeah.
When you
I had so much cash in the safe that it didn't make sense to count it in hundreds. I had to staple it together in $1,000 stacks. So it'd be like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 Mississippi, 5,000 Mississippi, 6,000 Mississippi, and so on.
I'm going to go back to your business a little bit. When you started your business, did you make a lot of money the first couple of years?
No. I mean, it took off pretty quick, but it wasn't where it was in 13, 14, or 15.
By 2011, approximately, how much money were you making?
I was probably making $350 a year.
And what did your income look like in the 2014 range?
14, I made between, I think, around 850 to 900,000.
What were your
Hi, Dragonfly Lily. Good to see you again. Looking good.
best years financially?
13, 14, and 15.
And Cora Jean, yeah, doesn't Ruth Markel seem really like classy, strong, and like she makes the best chicken soup on earth?
Have you ever been married?
No.
In the time frame of 2013-14, did you have any kids?
Back then, I didn't have my son.
During this 2013-2014 time frame, how would you succinctly describe your lifestyle?
Work came first. I worked my whole life to get to where I was. So I wasn't turning any work down, and I was single. So I worked. I'd go to the gym late at night, and I'd probably go out one night a week, usually on a Saturday night is when I'd go out.
Now, do you have any children now?
I've got one son.
How old?
5.
I want to talk to you about your relationship with your parents as an adult. Fair to say you're close with your mom and dad?
Yes.
As an adult, how often would you talk with your mom and dad?
I would talk to my mom more often, a lot more often, just because my dad was always working. But I talk to my mom every day.
Once a day or
Remember, guys, to like the video, share the video, leave a comment on the video. If you want to find a way to support the channel, there's ways to do that in the description. There's buymeacoffee.com, Patreon, Discord. I mean, it's endless. The options.
Multiple times.
At least once a day, but most likely probably twice a day, because there was always usually one thing was a personal thing and one thing was something having to do with the office or scheduling or something like that.
During the 2014 timeframe when you owned the office, did your mom work for you?
You could say that.
Did she control the books?
Tracy L. Yeah, Tracy says these are such canned questions and answers. Does that mean rehearsed? Because yes, that's what it is, isn't it? And you know, when the jailhouse calls are happening after the conviction and sentencing of Charlie Adelson, and Mother Donna is saying, "Oh, you did so well on the stand." You know, what she's actually saying is, you didn't sound like you'd been rehearsing this with Dan for months and months. You know, it sounded like you were convincing that these were the first times you'd heard the questions, which of course it wasn't, right? He's been in his cell for, how long was he in jail for? About 18 months. He has been practicing this over and over and over again, trying it one way, trying it another way, seeing which sounds more natural. You know, he's the kind of guy that he thinks if he does that much prep, he deserves to get off. You know, that whole outrage of not winning the case and getting off was like, well, how is that even possible? We paid a load of money for Josh Dubin. We cheated and we still didn't win. If you cheat, you're supposed to win.
She wrote the checks. Yeah, they had the checkbook at the house.
Now, was there any particular time that you would talk to your mom more often than other times?
Yeah, in the morning driving into work, I'd call my mom, and usually on the way home from work, I'd call them. Just depends on how long the drive was, really.
How involved was your mom in your life?
Business-wise, very involved because she was running the office. Personal-wise, I mean, I would tell them things and keep them up to date with stuff and my life, but it was my life. I mean, I did whatever I wanted to do.
We're going to get to this later, but how involved was your mom in your sister's life?
I think she was more involved. And I think my sister involved my mom maybe more. And it just depends on different issues.
I want to talk a little bit about your sister, Wendy. As adults, before she married Professor Markel, how often would you talk with her?
Isn't it time we set aside the side hustle? Or at least redefined it? And what's a side hustle for most people? It's another job, right? It's after you worked your guts out, let's say 9 to 5, 9 to 6, and I'm going to go do this thing on the weekend, or I'm going to do it in the evening. It isn't necessarily something people love. It's just working your tail off to try to make more money, to make.
We got to get premium,
I'd
guys.
call my sister.
Get rid of these ads.
Say about every 10 days or so we'd talk. I'd call her, but she was busy and she wasn't really good with the phone. So, and I would call her and she would always take a day or two to call me back. I spoke to her half the time when I called. Half the time she didn't pick up.
How often would you see her, again, pre-marriage? How often would you see your sister?
Not a lot. In 1995, I left to go to college. In 97, she left to go to college up in Boston. So it was pretty much, I would say, holidays, like every 3-4 months, you know, Thanksgiving, Christmas time, sometimes during the summer. So maybe 3-4 times a year I see her.
There came a time when Wendy started dating Professor Markel, right?
Yes.
Do you remember when you first met him?
I do. I think he was in town, and I remember all of us going out to lunch. I think we went to a deli.
What did you think of him?
I think he's a nice guy. I mean, he's kind of seemed like all my other sister's boyfriends she's had in the past. I've never really had much in common with them. And she kind of seemed like the rest of them, but I that was pretty much it.
Well, that was warm, wasn't it? Yeah, I thought he was a nice guy, you know, kind of seemed like the rest of my sister's boyfriends. I mean, he's again, these Adelsons, they seem to get their manipulations a little bit wrong because they don't understand empathy, right? So what he thinks he's doing is looking like someone who it's inconsequential to him who Wendy's with because he's got his own life. That's what he's trying to portray. But what he's actually portraying is someone who really doesn't like Professor Markel, which is, not a fan, not a fan. Yeah, I thought he was, a nice guy ish, kind of.
Now, after they got married, what was your relationship like with Professor Markel?
It was the same as before they got married. I mean, we texted each other on our birthdays. I don't think we ever really called each other or hung out. I mean, I would just see him when he came over to the house with my sister.
And how often would you see him and your sister?
I would say twice a year, maybe, or roughly around there, maybe 3 times a year.
In the years that Professor Markel and your sister were married and living in Tallahassee, how often did you come to Tallahassee?
I'd only been to Tallahassee. I was there twice, I believe, when her children were born. And then once when I was working in Alabama, I had a research fellowship, and I was passing through Tallahassee. I spent the night with them, and I saw them that time too.
Man, if Charlie Adelson and all the Adelsons have this abject hatred of Tallahassee, because it's not Miami, imagine what he thinks of Alabama. Something funny about imagining him work in Alabama. They don't have dentists in Alabama, do they? I thought in Alabama they just whack you in the mouth with a freaking shovel.
Professor Markel and your sister were married. Did you still communicate with your sister about the same amount of time?
It may have been a little less because I remember when she had kids, I mean, she had even less time. So I probably spoke to her. I'd call her, and then probably more times than not, she didn't pick up the phone. And then I'd get a call back a couple of days later. So it was pretty similar.
Did there come a time when you became aware that Wendy and Professor Markel were having marital issues?
Yes.
What did you learn?
I took my sister out to dinner when she had come to town, and we went to the Melting Pot. And I remember her telling me that they were having issues, and it was pretty serious.
Did she tell you that they were going through marriage counseling?
Yeah, that's when I found out, and I guess that's what I was going to say is like, have you tried to work things out? And that's when I found out that they had been in counseling for 6 months. I didn't know about it before.
Hey, thanks so much for the super chat, Christina from Tampa Bay. So, do you know about the Trevor Summers case? Because we were thinking about covering that soon. And oh, by the way, Christina says #justice for Dan Markel. Absolutely. Justice is on the way. Justice is in the post for Dan Markel and his family.
Now, what were some of the issues, if you remember, that she told you they were having?
He was becoming very, very religious. There was becoming issues with diet and how she was cooking in the house. She wasn't really respectful he wasn't really respectful of her career. He would belittle her. He obviously seemed like he lost his eye for her, and she seemed like she'd lost his eye for him, and she wasn't happy.
Now, did she complain about violence or danger or anything like that?
Never.
Did she complain that he was not a good father?
No, he was very attentive to his sons.
Did you learn at some point that your sister was going to file for divorce?
I did.
And when you heard that she was going to file for divorce, how did you feel?
I felt bad for her. I mean, she was sad. I mean, no one.
You know, I really like Georgia Kappelman's tactic, and it's a pretty blanket tactic for the most part. She objects far less than most lawyers. She just lets it play out. She lets the lies do the talking. You know, imagine if this was Camille Vasquez from the Johnny Depp Amber Heard. Every question was forcefully objected to, and I thought she was fantastic. Really good lawyer, strong lawyer. I mean, it's Johnny Depp's lawyer, so I guess he's going to get a good one, right? But Georgia Kappelman has a completely sort of stoic, let the lies do the talking strategy, and it works for her. She does really well out of it. And she kind of had her hair done for this trial, didn't she? I think, you know, she knows that so many of us watch this over and over again.
Goes to get married to.
She's a star.
Get divorced. But she seemed like she spent 6 months in therapy with him, and it didn't change anything, how she felt, and he didn't change how he was. And I said, listen, the kids need to grow up in a happy household. Like, they can't have fighting. You can't have a miserable mom who's unhappy. You need to have the kids are better off growing up in two separate households where there's positive environment instead of negative.
Did your sister seem angry to you?
No, she seems sad.
What does saving your company hundreds of thousands of dollars look like? Like revealing an inefficiency?
How involved were you with the divorce proceedings?
I wasn't really involved with the divorce proceedings on the day-to-day stuff. I would definitely hear stories, most of which would come from my mom when I'd be driving to work in the morning or driving home. I would hear the latest update of what's going on. But I would say probably 20% came from Wendy and 80% came from my mom.
How did Wendy seem to you during the period when they were going through the divorce proceedings?
Extremely stressed, very stressed out.
How did your mom seem?
She was upset because my sister was stressed, and it was almost like a telephone game. Like my sister would vent to my mom, then my mom would be venting to me.
In general, was your perception that the litigation was very litigious?
Yeah, I did learn that. I mean, he was fighting over bicycles and all kinds of nonsense, and seemed not to end.
Now, were there some big issues like relocation that were issues as well?
Yes.
Let's talk about relocation. Did there come a time that you learned that your sister filed a motion to try to relocate to South Florida?
I did.
And do you know why she wanted to relocate to South Florida?
Primarily, it was because she had no family in Tallahassee, and she had two young kids. And my parents lived in South Florida. I lived in Fort Lauderdale, And she wanted to be closer to family, and she had a better, more secure job for her career in South Florida.
How did you feel about the idea of your sister and the boys moving to South Florida?
I thought it would be great. I mean, I hadn't lived in the same town as her since 1995.
So we've got tie gates going on in the chat. Cool it, guys. I don't think Rashbaum should wear any tie. One thing I've never really understood is like what Charlie's got on. You know, a shirt and and a tie the same color, pretty much, almost. I've never had that. And I've never had a yellow tie. I guess it kind of makes Daniel Rashbaum look like a flower, doesn't it? But yeah.
So I thought it'd be great to have her in town.
How important was it to you?
I mean, it wasn't real important to the point like I thought about it all the time. But I mean, if I thought about it, I'd be happy to.
I'm trying to remember if Christina is the comments that I really liked the other night, because you're doing it again. You've got great comments. How can litigation not be litigious?
Have her back home.
How important was it to your mom and your dad?
Oh, to them, it was very important. They wanted her to come back because she had no family in Tallahassee.
And what was your understanding of what Professor Markel thought about this relocation effort?
I knew he was against it, and he wanted her to stay in Tallahassee with him.
Did you learn at some point that the petition was denied for relocation?
Yeah.
And when it was denied, how did your mom feel about it?
My mom they were very disappointed. They were unhappy.
How about your sister?
She wasn't that disappointed, I guess, because she's a lawyer and she knows, you know, what's the probability of something like this happening. And she said it was a long shot. She said she wasn't really expecting it, but it was worth it just to take a shot to see if it would happen.
Were you angry?
No. I mean, it didn't change anything in my life.
Now, we've seen some emails regarding converting the boys to Christianity. We've seen some pretty out there emails from your mom. Do you recall?
Hey, Ollie, it's okay. Relax. You know, Neverly Darling made a joke comment and said, "Hey guys, word of advice, fashion police, never wear a yellow tie." You know, you can take it or leave it. You can accept it for the funny, light-hearted comment that it was, or you can choose to be offended, and you're spending energy in your being offended state. So drop it.
Recall seeing those emails in this trial?
I do, yeah.
And do you recall whether you saw those emails when they were written, back when they were written?
Yeah, I would get forwarded to me all kinds of stuff, for sure.
Did you come up with any of those ideas?
No.
Now, on some of those emails, we'll see that you respond, "I like it." Why did you respond that way?
Well, my sister tried being really nice to Danny. It got her nowhere, and he was being really litigious, and he was looking to give her a hard time. And I thought that it was a way that she would go ahead and give him a hard time back and kind of push his buttons the way he was trying to push her buttons. So basically, you know, if he's being a jerk to you, just be a jerk back and see if maybe he'll stop. So I didn't think any of those things she was actually ever going to follow through with, you know, but I thought that it would really push his buttons. So I thought, why not give it a shot?
Yeah, give it a shot. Push his buttons. You know, fuck with his head. You know, And again, they misread what is acceptable in the social normal dynamic, right? Because he's like, yeah, I thought maybe just push his buttons, give it a shot. You know, he was being a dick, so I said, let's be a dick. And he thinks everyone in the jury is going to go, well, that sounds fair enough. But it just doesn't come across like that. It comes across as vindictive and, you know, unempathic. More than unempathic, you know, purposefully setting out to spike this guy. Spike.
Now, I want to talk about the $1 million offer. Did you ever become aware of efforts by your family, including yourself,
Yes.
to offer Professor Markel money to allow your sister to relocate?
I did. Yes.
And do you recall who came up with that idea?
It was my parents.
What were the terms of the offer? How much was it for?
The offer was for $1 million to have him move down south to South Florida with my sister and the boys, and that would afford him enough money that he could easily commute to his job in Tallahassee for the days that he worked, just the way senators in South Florida commute to Tallahassee all the time. And that was the idea behind it.
Now,
We actually know several senators in South Florida. 6 of them were at my dad's 70th birthday, queuing up with us at the Paella Bar. And they commute to the state capital, Tallahassee, all the time, but not all the time, maybe 3 times a year. And, you know, we just thought, we've got money, so if we've got money, then we can have things our own way. So we offered him money to comply with us. And he still said no, because he's unreasonable.
how were you involved in this idea?
I need to find the best way to learn math and science.
It's brilliant.org.
Whoa.
Not super involved, but I definitely said to my parents, I said, I will help, and I will pay 1/3 of that $1 million. And when Wendy one day starts making real money,
Hey, group appeal, guys. How many people have we got in the stream? 48. Most of you haven't clicked like. I mean, let's do an experiment, guys. Why don't all of you, including you, go and press like right now? Let's get 100% likes on this video. How about that, guys? It really helps us with the algorithm. You know, it's a cheap, easy, free way for you to support the channel so we can grow and build the community. Like the video.
you know, she's able to, I want to be paid back.
At this point in time, were you making more money than your parents?
I was, yes.
Did you or your family ever speak with an attorney about the legality of this offer?
I didn't, but I know they wanted to run it by an attorney. I think they used Gary Cohn to run it by.
Do you know if the offer was ever made?
As I sit here today, I know that the offer was never made. But back when the offer I thought was made, I thought it was made and thought it was turned down.
Did you, Charlie, you like to talk a lot, right?
Yeah, I didn't realize how much I talk until I listened to all those tapes, and evidently I do. I mean, I knew I liked to talk, but didn't realize how much.
When you got involved in this $1 million offer, would you talk about it with others?
Yes.
How would it come up?
It would come up when people would say, you know, doesn't your sister want to move back home? You know, how's she doing? And I said, yeah, no, she definitely wants to move back home. We tried everything we could. Like, we even offered $1 million to Dan to see if he would move down with her. And
yeah, we tried to buy his allegiance. You know, we said, we want things like this. And if you don't agree, we're going to pay you $1 million. So shut up, take the money, and do as we say.
And it didn't work. Like you turned it down.
You can commute. You can commute to your stupid, pathetic professor job at Tallahassee, Florida State University. You can get a plane and go through security and X-ray all the time. You know, multiple times a week for the rest of your career. That sounds fun, doesn't it? You know, to not even go out of state. I mean, if you're going to like Washington for your career, or up to New York, or over to London, what, you know, okay, well, that's not as frequent, and it's better. But having to go to the airport through all that crap to go to work, are you nuts?
Now, did you ever talk with Catherine Magbanowa? And we'll talk a lot about her in a little bit. But did you ever talk with Catherine Magbanowa about that $1 million offer?
Yes, I did.
And what do you remember telling her?
The same thing I told everybody else. Is it came up when she was asking me about, you know, doesn't your sister want to move back home? And I said, yeah. I said, you know, we tried everything we could. We even offered Danny $1 million to move back to South Florida, and it didn't work. It's the same thing I said to her is what I said to a bunch of people.
How did she respond?
She was like, wow, that's a lot of money. She's like, you got to take out a loan for that? And I said, no, I got cash. I can pay for it.
Okay. Now let's talk about gifts to your sister during her divorce. In general, did you provide any financial assistance to Wendy during the divorce?
No, she never asked, and I never gave her any money.
Did you pay for her lawyers?
Never.
Now, did you give her any gifts? And let's just start with the broad question, and then we'll break it down. Did you give her any gifts?
Yes, I've given her gifts to her divorce.
Okay. Do you recall giving her a TV?
Yes.
How did that come about?
Well, when she was moving out of the marital home, and she was starting, you know, from scratch in a new house, she didn't take any. Only took her belongings. I said to my mom, I said, "What does Wendy need? Like, what does she need for the new place?" And
Yeah,
she
yeah. She only took her belongings. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she emptied the Schwab accounts, took half the frickin' dining chairs of a set. What else did she take? Oh yeah, the tennis racket, the bike that Charlie had given to Dan or something. And she was like, well, that was a gift from my family, so it's mine. You know. And what was the other thing? Oh yeah. Holocaust diamond. An heirloom from, you know, Nazi Germany in 1945. Okay. Yeah. Let's take that with me, because the returning gifts thing only works one way. This was my engagement ring, and it's worth a lot of money.
She's leaving the TV sets. She needs a TV set for the house. So I said, all right, fine. I said, go to the store up there, go to Best Buy and pick out a really nice TV set, and I'll pay for it. I said, buy it and I'll give you the money.
Now, do you recall making a joke that buying her a TV was cheaper than hiring a hitman? Something to that effect.
Yeah, it was. Want me to say what?
Yeah, tell me what the joke was.
What happened was, when I gave her the TV set as a divorce present, the stupidest thing I ever said in my life. And I said, you know, I was going to get you a hitman, but the TV set was a lot cheaper, so I went with the TV set instead. And I said it as a complete joke, and it was stupid, but I do that a lot.
Did you make that joke to others?
Yes.
Did you make that joke many times throughout 2013 and 2014?
I made
Okay, guys, we're up to 28 likes. There's 43 people in the stream. Which one of you aren't clicking like? Go and click like right now. Come on. I mean, let's just do an experiment here, guys, right? If you're on the stream, click like right now. Let's see how the algorithm's going to respond to that, huh? Yeah. Probably double our time, double our viewers, huh? And click subscribe to the channel. We got loads more Adelson footage coming out, guys. There's a lot to work with. We're going to be doing the whole Wendy Adelson interview again, from the beginning, from the top. Fresh eyes.
I made that joke when she was having problems and she was fighting and she was upset. I recycled the joke, and it was stupid.
Did you ever say that joke to Catherine Magbanua?
Yes, I did.
Just to be clear, did you ever look into hiring a hitman?
No, never.
Are you aware that the divorce proceedings settled in July of 2013?
Yeah, I believe it ended in summer of 13.
Now, how did your sister react to the settlement?
I think she found it as like a sense of relief. It seemed like she had closure. She knew what she was going to be doing and where she was going to be living, and she I think she was just looking. I think she was happy, happy in the sense that she was able to put it behind her.
What was the custody arrangement? Do you know what the custody arrangement was?
I know it was 50-50.
After the settlement, how were things with Professor Markel and your sister?
I think they were calm for a little bit, and then it got litigious. There'd be a little brief areas of calm, and then I think he was kept trying to bring her back into court, and it started becoming litigious again.
What was your understanding of this mostly based on?
Things that I'd hear from my mom, probably 20% from my sister, 80% from my mom.
Was your mom upset?
She would get upset when my sister would tell her about Danny pushing her buttons and filing all these things in court and giving her a hard time.
What about you? During the period of all this litigation, what were your feelings about Professor Markel?
I thought he was being a jerk. I mean, hearing stories that he's showing up at her work and bad-mouthing her to other colleagues and saying horrible things about her, I thought he was just being a jerk to her.
Now, would you think about this all day long, in the morning and at night? I mean, how important was this to your life?
It wasn't. I mean, I would only think about it when I'd be listening to a story, and it would be, I'd be driving in the car talking to my mom. She would relay the latest that my sister told her, and then she'd be telling me, and that's when I would think about it. But I mean, I never for a second was at work thinking about it or doing activities that I enjoyed thinking about it. When I wake up in the morning, I never thought about it.
Yeah, Christina, good point. Christina says, and it was not a really nice TV. Jeffrey Lacasse categorized it as a cheap dorm room TV. You know? That you're going to call out a repairman to fix a broken screen. Probably a couple of $100, if that, from a not even from a known brand, not a Samsung or a Philips or a Sony or a Toshiba. Actually, it probably was a Toshiba, right? That's not very good, is it?
How long does it take to get a summer body with Wall Pilates? My bestie recommended the Wall Pilates challenge from YogaGo.
Were you panicked at all about it? Were you concerned that your sister was going to be disbarred? Anything like that? Was that a big issue for you?
No, I mean, that was a nonsense threat.
When you would learn about things, though, would you talk to them, talk about what was going on to others?
Yeah, Running Bird. That's the same dinner, the celebration dinner, you know. That Wendy categorized. Well, Wendy told Jeff that Charlie had said it was a celebration dinner.
Others.
Yeah, I did talk a lot. And
Why would you, considering your sister's divorce wasn't, and her issues with Professor Markel weren't a huge part of your life, as you've testified, why would you be talking about it to others?
one, I talked a lot.
How would it come up?
And it would come up when I'd be sitting at the dinner table and I'd hear this crazy story that my mom told me from earlier that day, and I guess it's more interesting than talking about teeth. So I would sit there and I'd share things with my girlfriend or friends, and I'd relay stories.
By the way, during this time period, and now I'm talking about late 13, second half of 13.
It was more interesting than talking about teeth. Because I'm so into my work. He was talking about how he had friends on the wrong side of the tracks, how he could move in different circles of life. You know, he could be with the inner circle of the upper crust one day, and the next day he'd be down in the Cuban slums, you know, talking to the Latin kings, talking to the likes of Luis Rivera and Sigfredo Garcia. Tough guys, bad guys. Yeah, he could shapeshift from senator entertaining CEO lunching Charlie the dentist to Charlie the steroid dealer, anabolic Charlie.
And 14, were you still speaking with your sister about the same amount or more?
I would say it's probably about the same. Every 10 days or so we talk.
The other thing he'd like to talk about instead of teeth was how he would anally punish his girlfriend who took him to a Korean wedding, and he got beat up or punched by the Koreans because he was the only white guy, and probably made some bad joke about Kim. You know, it was like, how many Kims does it take to screw in a light bulb? Or something like that, you know, some racist joke about Korea.
Did you travel to Tallahassee to check on her after she filed for divorce? How many times did you come to Tallahassee during this time period?
Never. I think the last time I came to Tallahassee was 2011 or 2010.
Now, what was your understanding of how Wendy felt about the idea of staying in Tallahassee as time went on?
I think she understood that's what her life was going to be. I mean, she loved her job up here. She was getting excited about things. She was dating people. She was embarking on her new life in Tallahassee.
What was her, did there come a time when she won an award, and what do you remember about that?
I remember, I was real proud of her. She wrote a book, and the book was selected by Florida State to be the mandatory reading for all incoming freshmen. And she was chosen to be the speaker to the incoming class. And that was to take place in August. And I know she was super excited about it, and we're all planning to come up there and be there for her.
Okay, I want to shift gears and talk a little bit about Catherine Magbanua. May I have one moment, Your Honor?
Take your time.
let's talk a little bit about Catherine McDaniel. How did you first meet Catherine McDaniel?
I met Katie in the summer of 2013.
Hey, Cora Jean, are you on the Discord? Because Neverly Darlings just posted a mugshot from the South Dakota Online of Charlie Adelson on the Discord and tagged you, but I don't know if you're on there. If you're not on there, link in the description. Join the Discord.
Started working the front desk of the dental office that I worked at.
And what was that dental office? Where was it?
The name of the office was Sophie Dental, and it was in South Beach.
What did she do for the dental office?
She was the front desk and office manager for the office.
How often would you work in that office?
I was there, say, every 3 weeks. I was there for half a day every 3 weeks.
Was that office a big generator of income for you?
It was one of my better offices, yeah.
Now, you said you met her in July 2013. When did you first go out with her?
We first went out, it would have been first week of October, around October 10th.
And who initially pursued who?
I pursued her.
Why did you ask her out?
Katie was really cute. She was friendly. She went to the same, she actually graduated from UCF also, different time, but she graduated from there. She was a really smart girl. I mean, she was extremely smart and witty, and that's why I pursued her.
Once you went out with her, did you learn that she had 2 kids?
I did.
Now, initially, did you learn anything about her ex-husband?
No, the only thing I knew is that she'd been with somebody for about 10 years and that she was now single.
After you dated her a couple times, what did you like about her?
Well, and aside from the initial things, what attracted me to her was she had a very busy life also. And my life was so busy, it was hard for me to be in a relationship where someone wanted to go have dinner at 5 o'clock and hang out with me a couple days a week. So she was working full time, had 2 kids. So she was fine seeing me once or twice a week. And we both had very little time.
Now, you said that your first date was sometime in early October 2013.
Yeah, it wasn't even a real date. We just went and had dinner. There's a restaurant in the building, and we finished late. And I said, "You want to grab dinner?" We ate at the building.
Did you ask her?
Ian, slap on the kangaroo steaks, man. Let's get this Barbie started.
Just 2 weeks later if she could find someone to kill Professor Markel?
No, not at all.
Did you have a Halloween party with her or go trick-or-treating with her, and after the party say, hey, do you know anyone who can take care of my ex-brother-in-law for me?
No, absolutely not.
Or rough him up? Do you know anyone who can rough someone up? I need to get someone roughed up. Do you know anyone that could rough someone up?
Now, back to the relationship. Over time, did it become more serious?
Over time, in the beginning, it's always like you're just trying to see who each other is. And then as time went on, she wanted to get more serious. I'd say probably by the springtime,
Hey, Matt Taormina, I always have to sound your name out. Matt Taormina says, give me all your money, and I don't ever want you to mention this again. But when Charlie is questioned by Georgia about the texts he was sending to Catherine McDaniel on the same day as the supposed extortion announcement, where she was like, the Latin Kings did this to Professor Markel, and if you don't give them $350,000, they're going to do the same thing to another member of your family. On that day, Charlie was, his text messages to Katie are all like, wow, it's such a beautiful day. Are you going to the beach or the pool? Oh, that's so nice to the kids. Have a great time. And Charlie was like, yeah, that was because I was sending her those messages because she told me to never mention this again. So I was showing her that I wasn't going to mention this and everything was normal. And it's like, man, why wouldn't you just not text her anything? You're role playing when you think no one's listening to your calls. That's kind of weird. Yeah, you taking the kids to the pool or the beach? Brackets. Not talking about the extortion. It's a joke. And he was surprised that this didn't work. He was like, yeah, the people of Tallahassee, they couldn't understand. And they just follow what Georgia says because she's from Tallahassee too. And they stick together like glue.
Around March, she started asking me.
Now, did you consider her to be your girlfriend, though?
She was my girlfriend, yeah.
Did you consider yourself to be exclusive?
After the first 3 months together, yeah, for sure.
Did you ever see a possibility of marriage with her?
No, I didn't.
During the time that you dated her, how often, and let's be clear, we're talking about now the beginning of 2014.
Right.
So let's keep it far away from July. During the time that you dated her, how often would you communicate with her?
We talked every day.
When would you talk to her?
I'd call her when I was in the car driving to work. We text throughout the day, and then I'd always talk to her at nighttime.
Where was she living at the time?
She was living in North Miami.
And again, you were living in the same place in Fort Lauderdale?
Same house in Fort Lauderdale, yeah.
How often would you see her?
I would see her once a week. Sometimes every once in a while it would be twice, but I would say more often once than twice.
And when you saw her, what would you typically do?
We'd go to dinner, hang out, watch a movie, hang out at my house.
Did you have any relationship with her children?
No, I met her children on one occasion, maybe twice, but definitely no more than twice.
Did she go to family events with you?
She did meet my family a couple times, yeah.
She met your sister how many times, if you recall?
2 times.
And how many times do you think she might have met your parents?
I'd say maybe around 8 times, 8 or 9 times.
Was she a patient of your dad's?
Yes, she was.
We're going to get into this in more detail later, but let's be clear right now. Did Catherine Magbanua ever work for your dad or for you at the Adelson Institute?
Frankly, I'm amazed that Daniel Rashbaum got the job for this. If he hadn't have sweet talked Lady Donna with his look after granny kind of demeanor, he's such a smoothie with the older ladies, isn't he? The older ladies love Daniel Rashbaum. Oh, Danny's so nice. Danny's so polite, but my God, he's terrible. He does these little tactics like, okay. So let's clear this up right now. Like if he says that means it's the final word, that there's no argument against it because he said, we're going to clear it up right now for the jury. Okay. Because this is a complicated business and we're going to untangle this bag of snakes. Georgia wants to tie these snakes in a tangled bag, but we're going to straighten them out real nice. We're going to
No,
line them up.
Now, I think you alluded to this a little bit earlier, but as time went on in 2014, did she want to be more serious?
This AI tool will take your idea and create a complete book, complete with design, images, layout, everything, including the content, literally in a few minutes.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
And what did you think about that?
I like the way it was. I mean, it was good in the beginning. My life, I wasn't looking to change it. I was still in that workaholic mode. But she started asking me, what are we? What are we doing?
At the time that you met her, and I want to talk a little bit about your knowledge of Sigfredo Garcia now. At the time that you met her, to your knowledge, she was single, right?
Yes.
And I think you testified that initially you didn't learn anything about her ex.
Nothing other than she was completely single. She was done with him.
I want to show you defense exhibit. It's not in evidence.
Yes. I want to show you a defense exhibit that's not in evidence. Well, of course you do. Because all the evidence is bad for your client. All the stuff that's been allowed to be shown to the jury doesn't help. So you want to show them something else. We get it. Okay.
Yeah, Kurt, you're on it.
You may.
I'm showing you what's marked for identification purposes as Defense Exhibit 34.
Another super sticker, guys, from Leah in Canadian dollars, guys. We've got two toonies straight from Leah in British Columbia. Thank you so much, Leah. You are so sweet and nice.
Please take a look at it. Are these text messages between you and Catherine Magbanoa on November 27th at 2:13?
Yes, they are.
Judge, I'd move in Defense Exhibit 34 at this time.
Response?
Hearsay, Your Honor.
Please approach.
If you're creating content that stands out, you are not looking for just music. You are looking for great music.
Oh, sidebar, guys. Don't you just love those trial videos that say no sidebars and you save so much time? But I actually quite looking at this packed courtroom. Where's mentor lawyer? You know he's there. And where's that lady who was on Roberta Glass's podcast? She's really good. I like the way she talks. Which one?
As the
That one.
hearsay is overruled, you may continue with your examination. As the hearsay
Is that her?
As the hearsay is overruled, you may continue with your examination.
Oh, and hey, Cora Jean, we can see you in Discord. You know, no problem. You're there. Your message, it didn't fail to send. We got your message. And to everybody else that wants to join Discord, there's a permanent link in the description to this video with a couple of ways that you can help support the channel if you like. You know, there's buymeacoffee.com where you can buy us any number of cups. It's the best. Oh, hang on. Is Fancy Fiction in the chat? Jane, I tell you. Oh no, you're responding to something else. Never mind.
These text messages, are they a true and correct reflection of your messages on November 27th, 2013?
Yes, they are.
Judge, I'd move in Exhibit 34 at this time.
Any further objection?
No, Your Honor.
They are admitted at this time.
May I publish?
You may.
Now, you see the timing is in military time, so it says November 27th at 13:42. We can agree that's 1:42.
Yes.
Katie says, my ex knows about you. I'm pretty sure I know how he knew because he even knows your name. You see that?
Yes, I do.
And you say, do I know him from my past? You see that?
Yes, I do.
What are you asking Katie here?
I have no idea who her ex is. She's saying he knows me, so I'm saying, do I know him?
And that's in late November 2013, right?
Yes.
That's after 1 month almost after Halloween, correct?
Yes.
Now, as time went on, did you learn more about her ex?
In the springtime, I did.
In February, was there an incident with Katie and her ex that you recall?
Yeah. I remember her coming over my house, and she was pretty upset. She had a mark on her neck. He got into an altercation, and he ripped a necklace that he'd given her off her neck. And she was crying, and she was all upset.
How did you react?
She could tell I was upset. I mean, someone just roughed her up. And she could tell I was upset, and she said, "Don't do anything." She goes, "He will kill you. He will kick your ass. You don't stand a chance."
Now, why did you continue to date her after this?
I didn't take that as a threat to me. I just took it as she's got a crazy ex-boyfriend that wants her back, and she's got 2 kids with him, and it wasn't a threat. I didn't feel like he was threatening me. She just was like, you know, it's a part of her life that I wasn't going to hold against her.
I want to show you a couple other texts related to your relationship with Miss Magbanua in January, February, and March of 14. These will be defendants exhibits 35.
I think another tactic of Daniel Rashbaum is that if he takes his time, I want to show you a couple of texts from March 2014. Like, if he takes his time, he thinks he seems unthreatened by the state because he's confident in not rushing or something, that he's going to give the jury time to observe the truth that's here, right? And it doesn't hold pace. You know who could hold pace? Frickin' Christopher DeCoste, man. That guy's pace is almost like listening to a song, you know. He's rhythmic. He's on beat. He's got timing. It's a stage performance, which is what all good lawyers should be doing. Holding the energy, building the energy. Like an orchestra, you know. Like a boxer, bob and weave, you know. Daniel Rashbaum is just like a wet sponge on a sloping surface that slowly lets all the water drain out, and as it slipping, but really slowly, so slowly that you can't even see it. He's just a wet sponge on a slope.
5. No, 36 and 37. And I'll give a copy to the government. I might have handed you one as well. The January text is 35.
Sonny Tanner, guys. That's the one I was thinking of that was on Roberta Glass's podcast. Roberta Glass is on the record, putting the true back in true crime. You know, we need a really cool, like, official intro like Roberta has, with the music and the graphics and the statement. You know, what do we have here? We just have me going dun 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 dun, which some people like, you know, but it's all we have.
The February text is 36. And the March 24th text, do you have that one?
Yes.
Is 37.
I have March 15th.
There you go. May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
Are you coming towards the end of your career and you're starting to worry that you've run?
Just put it aside. That's 36. And that's 37. Can you take a look at these items? Do you recognize these text messages?
Yes, I do.
Were they kept, are they accurate reflections of your text messages?
They are, yes.
I would move these exhibits into evidence now, Your Honor.
Any objection?
Hearsay, Your Honor. I'm still reviewing them.
You can show me a copy of the exhibits.
Yes, Your Honor. May I approach?
Matt Taormina says, why didn't the Adelsons buy $1 million house in Tallahassee instead of murdering Dan? There isn't $1 million house in Tallahassee. No one with money would want to live there. You know? Yeah. You couldn't even have one built. You know? It just wouldn't make any sense. Farmers in their smelly, dusty town with only one coffee shop and no sushi restaurants. Rabbit, long time no see. The queen bee is back.
Exhibits.
I have, Your Honor. My objection is hearsay.
Attorneys can briefly approach.
We got Neaty coming in with some tagline ideas. What do you think of this one, guys? True Crime Metrics, where true crime fans find justice. Well, is that what you find? I don't know. Are we the ones that need justice? I think that's That's the point. We're observers, guys. This is human theater at its finest. The court, not the show. Although we do our best. Yeah, no, thanks for the input, Needy. It's we're writing it in the brainstorm of ideas. Yeah, Kerry B, come and join the Discord unless you're already there. Throw some ideas around. That's where all the planning happens, guys. I think. I'm usually not invited to the meetings. Neville Darling holds them in my absence. Conference calls, brainstorming sessions. Just kidding, Neville. You have at it. And don't wear a yellow tie. Oops, what did I say? And talk about fashion. Yeah. We didn't hear back from, who was it? What was the name? Orly or something. I guess she or he got too offended and left the building. Well, maybe they were wearing a yellow tie. Maybe it's their favorite tie.
Continue with your examination.
Oh, you really shouldn't be commenting on YouTube about the color of people's ties. You really shouldn't be doing that. That shouldn't be allowed. That's prejudice. That's prejudice. And is this a fashion show? Is this a fashion show? Oh my God! Just give me a break, will you? These thugs that come online with their issues. I got slammed up the other day for saying that Wendy Adelson had a weird shaped body. Oh, you shouldn't be talking about Wendy's body. No. She's a psycho killer. She doesn't have the same what do you call it? The same immunity to oh my God, I'm going blank and now it's taking too long to find the word. I forgot the word. Don't worry, let's move on.
So let's talk about Defense Exhibit 35.
Sure.
Text from January 19, 2014. And in this exchange, what is Miss Magbanawa asking you about?
Conheça o Wix Studio, onde a liberdade criativa encontra eficiência total. Design se ajuda.
She asked me if I wanted things to be different, and she was saying how much she missed me.
And did you want things to be different at this point in time?
No, I wanted things to stay the way they were from when we just started dating.
Now, if you turn to Defense Exhibit 36, text messages from February 5th, 2014.
Mm-hmm.
What is she asking you? What does she start by asking you about? And you don't have to read it. Just tell the jury generally what she's asking you about. What is she concerned about?
She's asking if I'm talking to a bunch of other girls.
And what do you tell her in response generally?
I say, no, I'm not.
And again, in this text message, she's asking you whether she's telling you that she wants more, right?
Yeah.
And how do you respond?
I ask her, are you thinking about getting back with your ex?
And then what do you say after that?
Oh, yeah. I say you're the coolest and most fun girl, that I'm always happy when I'm around. And then I said, I know it's not easy, and I think we're doing a good job at not rushing things. So
And what were you trying to tell Miss Magbanua in this text message?
I was trying to say I like you and I have a good time hanging out with you, but I don't want to rush things.
Now, moving to text messages in March of 2014.
Bree Price, Charlie Adelson's baby mama, is not Filipino. No.
Miss Magbanua texts you, you've mentioned me to your mom, and you say yes, and she says, I love you. Aw, baby. Why was this a big deal to her?
I guess when I'd spoken to her, I brought up that I'd mentioned her to my mom, and she thought I was I was making things more serious. So I think she got excited over that.
Okay, you can put those aside.
Judge, I'm going to object regarding Defense Exhibit 37 and ask for best evidence that it be published to the jury.
I'll sustain on best evidence grounds.
Thanks, Tracy. Although I think there's plenty of humor in true crime commentary. Roberta Glass is quite funny. Sometimes it's not really her main gig, but 544 Camp Street, he's quite funny sometimes. Fancy Fiction, although I think she's more angry, and that's fine. But yeah, there's humor in true crime. It's not just here, even though we're the best.
Please publish Defense 37. Members of the jury get to reach your own conclusions as to the context of the statements.
Okay, let's publish it to the jury and see if it says what I said.
Yeah, I covered that one already, Rabbit. I was saying that I would never, ever have a tie askew like that. I mean, what's the point? It's so easy to put in the middle. It sits right between the lapels of the shirt, right? You just put it in the middle and keep it there.
March 24th at 12:17. You see she texts you and says, you've mentioned me to your mom?
Yes.
Do you see that you respond, yes?
Yes, I do.
Do you see that she responds, that made me so happy?
Yeah, she took it the wrong way.
Any other clarification, Your Honor?
It's great minds, Rabbit. You know, you and I were cut from the same cloth, the cloth of crime. Now I feel like Detective Danny, the line of truth, the sword, the hand of honesty. Shake the hand of truth. The cloth of crime is wrapping you up, Grant. Grant, you're wrapped in the cloth of crime.
Is it fair to say that she was excited that you had mentioned her to your mom?
Yeah, she was happy. She got overly excited. I wasn't expecting that.
Now, in the early summer of 2014, what were you telling your friends about your relationship with Catherine Magbanua?
Objection, relevance.
Sustain. Please lay a foundation if you can.
Was your relationship coming to an end in the summer of 2014?
Yes, she wanted more, and I didn't want anything more.
And were you communicating that to friends?
Yes, I was.
I want to talk to you about a dinner on March 11th, 2014, a Yardbird dinner. One moment, Your Honor.
Take your time.
Do you recall going to that dinner?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember who was the dinner with?
I met Katie down in Miami on Lincoln Road, and my sister was in town, and I was already working down there. I remember I was in my scrubs, and my sister came and she brought the guy that she just started dating, who's Jeff Lacoste.
Do you recall where you sat?
Yeah, we sat outside the restaurant. There was a few tables set up on the sidewalk, and it was the four of us sitting there.
Did you know that you were being watched?
No, not at all.
Did you know that Sigfredo Garcia was thinking about killing you that night?
No,
Oh, let's
not
go
at
back and see Fancy Fiction. How far back was it, Rabbit? Like, is that her? No. Is that her? Okay, that's Fancy Fiction, because I've never actually seen her face. She's always just got that icon. But there she is.
Do you recall going to that dinner?
Yes, I do. Remember?
Do you recall where you sat?
Yeah, we sat outside the restaurant.
Oh, she's
There was
blonde.
A few tables set up
Okay.
on the side.
Now, well, let's
Well,
wait until she comes
and,
back.
it was
Until
the four of us
Rashbam
sitting
comes back.
Did you know that you were being watched?
No, not at all.
Did you know that Sigfredo Garcia was thinking about killing you that night?
No, not at all.
Now, this is March 11th, 2014, right?
Yes.
During the dinner, do you recall discussions about ex-husbands between your sister and Catherine Magbanova?
Yes, I do.
Do you recall who initiated those discussions?
No, I don't.
Do you recall making a bad joke again at that dinner?
Yes.
And that's the same joke that we've already discussed.
Yeah, I did.
Remember, guys, to like the video, share the video, leave a comment on the video, support the channel any way you can.
Now, after the dinner, who came back to your house?
My sister and Jeff Lacoste came back to my house.
What about Catherine Magbanova?
No, she went home to be with her kids.
And was it a normal night when your sister and Jeff Lacoste came back?
Yeah, but it's the first time I've ever had, I think, my sister and her boyfriend sleep over at my house. So it was normal.
Did you ever have any conversations other than some text messages that Jeff Lacoste sent you with him after that night?
No, I never spoke to him again.
Did you know anything about a first attempted murder of Professor Markel in early June?
Come on, Nisi, you can go and join a bowling team or something. You know, then you could tell everybody in the bowling alley about this show.
No.
Now, there's been a lot of talk about birthdays and your dad's birthday and a birthday present. And you may remember some text messages that the state showed during their case regarding wanting to talk to your. Give me 1 second. Do you recall the state showing text messages where you're texting with your mom and she tells you that she can't talk right now, that she'll call you when she's alone, she's driving back and she's at a stop in Gainesville, and to erase the text message?
Yeah,
Do you recall what that is all about?
it was about my dad's birthday.
Who was your mom with at that stop at Gainesville?
She was with my dad, so she didn't want to talk in front of him
And why didn't she want to talk in front of him?
because it was a surprise. Originally, we were thinking about doing a cruise.
What was a surprise? That you were going to kill Professor Markel, or that you were going to have a surprise birthday party for your dad?
No, it was going to be his 70th birthday party.
And do you recall in that text message talking about a caterer?
Yes.
Now, you had discussed this caterer as far back as April and May with your mom, correct?
Yes.
And those are reflected in text messages as well, correct?
Yes, they are.
On June 5th, do you recall your mom texting you and asking you, don't forget to get information on the caterer?
Yes.
Now, what did you get your dad for his birthday gift?
I paid for the catering for the party.
And what type of catering was it?
It was a chef came to the party and they cooked paella and seafood, and then we had a bunch of desserts also and salads.
I'm showing you what's marked for identification purposes only.
We had
As defendant-
we had a bunch of desserts with everything. We mixed milk and meat and everything. Everything had shellfish, and we had a whole pig roast. I mean, anything. It was like the antithesis of kosher celebration. You know, it was just we looked at the rules of kosher, and we tried to disobey every single one for the big celebration.
It's Exhibit 43. I'm showing you what's marked as Defendant's Exhibit 43. And these
Don't you just love fancy fiction's hair, guys? Doesn't that just spell, you know, like, you know, efficient? Like if she were a PA, you could really rely on her. You know what I mean? If you said 7 o'clock, she'd have it all done by 6:55.
These are a composite of all of your text messages between June 2nd, 2014 and June 7th, 2014. May I approach, Your Honor?
Okay.
Can you look through this and see if this is an accurate reflection of all your text messages during that period?
Yeah.
Are you wondering how much it will cost you to start up a company in Dubai or anywhere in the UAE? Check out.
Yeah, erudite, Cora Jean. I was gonna say academic or educated or something like that, but erudite is a better way to put it. Yeah, very much. She still hasn't been on the show, you know. I think she just refuses to come. Perhaps she's intimidated by my fame.
Judge, I would move in Defense Exhibit 43 at this point in time.
I'm going to need to review the exhibit. State, do you have any objections?
Yes, Your Honor. Hearsay and relevance.
Please bring me a copy of the exhibit.
Hey, Needy, Bloody Marys. Yeah, I hope you're going to have Tabasco and a full stalk of celery.
Members of the jury, the bailiff is going to take you back to the jury room. We will resume with the testimony momentarily.
I haven't seen the Karen Reed trial, Cora Jean. Gonna get to that. I'm gonna be really late for that, but I know nothing about it. I haven't had the chance to watch anything new. Yeah, so that'll probably be like next year.
Seated. If the attorneys can approach.
But what state is it in, the Karen Reed trial? Because, you know, the rules of court are different each state. Like in Wisconsin, all the lawyers stay seated for questioning, which is really weird. Oh, Massachusetts. Well, that's a Commonwealth. You know, how many Commonwealths are there? Connecticut, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, and Kentucky, funnily enough. I get the other three, but why Kentucky? That's French, if anything. Okay, not Connecticut, Virginia. What do you want? I did pretty well. I'm British. Leave me alone. Okay, we're wrapping it up, guys. We've got about the same number of minutes left as we've got percent of battery, which is good. We did 2 streams today, guys. 2 topics. A little bit of Stephen McDaniel. But this is where the eyeballs are. You know, we've had a good 50 people in the stream constantly for 2 hours now. We had one little incident with some cheeky nonconformist who took issue with Neverly Darling because she made a joke about yellow ties. And then this person got really offended and was like, oh my God, you're talking about people's ties. That's so That's so judgmental. What the hell? Long sidebar.
Until 10:30.
Oh.
12 minutes until 10:30. Mr. Adelson, if you need to step down and go back to council table, you're permitted to do so.
Okay. Well, that was a bit of a premature, anticlimactic close to the session. What happened?
2022 was a great year for us at Audio. We added so much new music to the catalogue from incredible.
Okay, well, I guess they just took a break, and so are we going to take a break. That's 2 hours, 11 minutes of Charlie Adelson Part 1. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, guys. Ring the bell, like, share, leave a comment, subscribe, support the channel. Send us a super chat, a super sticker, a super thanks. The description, there's a link to buymeacoffee.com where you can buy us our coffee.com, which you're not really buying us a coffee, but with all of the funds that are coming in, that's going to go straight to our equipment for the broadcast, to make our broadcasts, our podcasts, our live streams better quality for you, the viewer, for us, the producer, and for the sound controlist, a Labrador called Soap, who is the same color as a chocolate cake and 3 times as yummy. We will be joining you again tomorrow, guys. We're just doing every day this week now. Is it too much? Maybe we should space it out a little more. We don't want to alienate our audience. You're all going to start going, what, again? How many times a week is this guy on? But we just love doing it. This is how we relax. Hey, Needy, I feel like Needy is our sole contributor, our treasurer. You're giving too much money, Needy. We appreciate it, but you look after yourself first, okay? We want it confirmed that you've got sandwich making material at home. That your heating and your air conditioning are functional and paid for. Don't leave yourself short at the end of the month. We really appreciate the support, though, Neddy. You are a legend, making up for all these other freeloaders who just take. No, but seriously, guys, Patreon, early access to videos. Can't have it any earlier because you watch us make them. But during the summer months, we will probably be finding the time to do some produced material. What is the word? Upload material, whatever. With some cuts and some edits and some interesting slides, like Fancy Fiction, but even better than hers. Yeah, she's going to have some stiff competition. And, maybe me and Soap are going to fly over to Florida for the Donna Adelson trial. That'll surprise you all, won't it? Let's see Fancy Fiction escape from me then. We'll be sitting right next to her in court. Yeah, super nice of you, Needy. We're keeping tabs. You're paying for your whole year up front. Yeah. Yeah. So, God, I never feel like I want to say goodbye. I feel like we should all go out. Let's all go out. But hey, the Discord. If you guys want to, it's an open link, a permanent link. It's in the description for the video. You just click the link. It's free. You join the chat, and what are we doing there? Well, we're open to any ideas about the show. If there's a case that you want to cover, or you just want to talk about a case, we're adding different what do you call it? Threads, message threads, as we slowly build. Ideas for taglines, guys. We've had some good ones coming in tonight. Yeah, we're gonna try and find some newsroom music, or maybe we can just produce something. I don't know. But we want a nice graphic, introduction with a theme tune, a tagline, and maybe then Fancy Fiction will have to take us seriously, which she obviously doesn't at the moment. Or maybe she's just too busy being the erudite that she is, which is fine, and I wouldn't change her for all the tea in China or rice, whichever. I wouldn't change her for all the sushi and pizza in Miami. Yeah. Okay, let's have a few more messages just before we go. Connecticut, I think. What's that, Tracy L? Tracy L? Well, Connecticut is not a Commonwealth. I was wrong. It's Virginia. Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Kentucky. Yeah, we're glad you came back, Rabbit. To be honest, I thought you'd smudged us, that you now hate the show, and you've gone and joined our competitors. Like we have any competitors. Yeah, Needy, you're single-handedly stimulating our economy. And to be honest, I don't think you are permitted to use the word stimulate in any sentence, you saucy thing. Have you noticed this guy? She's so saucy with her comments. But that's fine. It's appreciated. Yeah, go out for Bloody Marys. Leah says, Metrics, your openings are very fine. I have a really hard time with STS opening. STS. What's that? STS. I can't think what that is. Enlighten me. And the pic of Joel and his mom is so bad I pass by them. Worst ever. Oh, Surviving the Survivor. Yeah, I don't watch that show. Is that the guy with the glasses and the really big microphone? Yeah, no, I don't like that. It's too produced. It's overly produced. And I think they got some information really wrong on this case, actually. I might be thinking of someone else. Yeah, but I'm not into that YouTube podcast stuff where they really try and make it look like a big production, and then I think I'm too cheap, but it's early days for us, and I think we've done really well so far in a short time. Thanks to all of you guys. Oh yeah, of course, Rabbit. They're out of Miami, where all the glamour is. Yeah. Joel Walderman is ex-Fox News here in the US. He's trying to do his own thing after leaving a US TV news career. Oh, wow. Okay, so that's the Surviving the Survivor guy is from Fox News? Wow, I didn't know that. Oh. Ida Hat says, can you do a coffee? Is that coffee for donations and subscriptions so you can avoid paying commissions? Are you asking me? I don't know. What commissions? You mean the commission to YouTube? Well, are you saying coffee, but you're spelling it Kofe? Buymeacoffee.com. I think that's what you're talking about. Yeah, I think we receive more from donations on buymeacoffee.com. YouTube takes a big chunk of the super chat and stuff like that, I think. But we haven't even had our first payment yet, guys. It's just building up in the account. So we're going to make a withdrawal and we're going to go and get some equipment pretty soon. And then our production values are going to be huge. And we need to get a nice camera, you know, because I make a lot of facial expressions during the show and that's wasted at the moment. No one knows what I look like. Everyone has a different idea in their head, apart from the people on Discord, because my picture's on there. But anyway, I think we're going to shut it down for the night, guys. Wow, Rabbit, you're scaring me. Yeah, I bet you're all digging through my past, aren't you? You sick people. Yeah, we're going to get a camera, but my camera in the laptop is only like 720p, which means it's shit. So I need to get like, you know, an external one. Carrie B, yeah, well, we're already monetized, you know. But yeah, at 1,000 subscribers, you get monetized from ads. But then we've got to have ads, and then I just feel like a corporate shill. You know, the donations are much nicer because it comes straight from you guys. Use my phone as a camera, Neverly? Well, probably not. That sounds really complicated. How would that work? We'll get a camera soon. Don't worry. Okay, Carrie. No worries. Okay, we're going to cut it off there, guys. But we'll see you tomorrow at around 5:30 EST. It's kind of unfortunate that we're in such a different time zone because I know that's pretty early for the States. And you guys in California and the Pacific Coast, what the hell time is it there? It's like lunchtime. But it's what we can do for now. Maybe later I'll start streaming at 2 in the morning, my time. And then it'll be like prime time on Eastern Standard. But until then, be kind to each other. Don't wear yellow ties. And don't be an Adelson. Or a Rashbaum. And if anyone gets offended by some bullshit, tell them to chill the fuck out. All right, Neverly. You didn't offend me. I don't wear yellow ties, and I don't think anyone else should either. Oh, it's 5:14 p.m. on the West Coast. All right. There you go. Well, it's 1:15 in the morning, so we're gonna have a little look in the Discord, see what's going on, and then we're gonna go to sleep. So we'll see you tomorrow, guys. All right, take it easy, and thank you to everybody. Like, share, leave a comment. Bye bye.